Thank you so much for being here with me once again in another episode of A Legacy of Love. With that said, I must continue sharing a little bit more. This topic is going to be extremely sensitive as I continue sharing more of my experiences as a little girl. You know, we all have that little girl inside of us, and sometimes we still mourn and we still hurt and we still have memories of very special loved ones that we've lost on the way. I was just about to be 15 and I had to go through the most horrendous, difficult to explain, to share. If you've actually gone through the loss of a loved one, and in this case, it was my mother, and I've lost some other loved ones that are very special to me, I must say that it is tragic. It's a lot of confusion that goes through your mind, a lot of memories. And I'm going to be sharing a little bit more about that journey, which was not easy. I remember uh, being in the hospital and waiting for a miracle that never happened. That miracle of being able to have our mother going back with her baby, which she never made it back. We already had several plans. We already were excited about that. She even left food prepared for us, which was horrible to sit there and have a meal without her, knowing that after that, my life definitely changed uh, in the bad sense. And of course, I was very mature for my age. I had matured at a very young age, but that definitely pushed me to the next level of maturity of having to figure out a funeral, having to make preparations and whatsoever, what she was going to wear. It was just so much. Coming back to the house and seeing everything there, her personal things, her, belongings, her clothes, her shoes, her purses. She was very fashionable. She was always looking so elegant. And then coming back and where's our mother? Being the oldest and the only daughter, it was very difficult, not knowing what was going to come after that. Her just having a baby and also thinking about the baby, thinking about my other brother, my middle brother. And then it was just so much. And I will share a little bit more. If you've lost a loved one, you definitely understand where I'm coming from. You know that it's very difficult, but also you know that they will always live in your heart. And it's up to you to continue pressing on that legacy because they will never go away. They will never, you could always keep them alive in your heart. So with that said, I will share a little bit of my experience. Uh, The ride there was horrendous. The ambulance stopped twice during the drive. I remember it well. Each time we froze in fear, wondering what was happening. The paramedic eventually flashed a thumbs up to us through the back window, signaling that it was okay. And we pulled back into traffic. My heart was in my throat the entire time. I was sobbing, and then images flooded my mind. Times when mom would hold me and tell me, I love you, my pretty little girl. I wanted desperately to share another tender moment like that with her. And here I was, helpless. All I wanted to do was help her, and I just couldn't. We finally arrived at the clinic. Tragically, it was not the correct or intended location. The paramedics were supposed to transport her to the clinic 25, but they had mistakenly driven to clinic 21. We were informed they needed to transport her yet again, and I feared, looking back, this was a terrible, costly mistake. She'd lost too much blood, and even moments wasted was so critical for her. As we awaited word about her condition, I was in anguish, crying uncontrollably. I was running around the hospital, begging strangers to stop and pray with me that God would spare my mother's life. I finally went to a corner closest to the room where my mother laid, fighting for her life, dropped me to my knees, and I began pleading with God to save her life. I told him that my brothers and I were not ready to go on without her. I was so distraught, Grandma asked the staff for help to calm me down. They eventually gave me a sedative. That night, the doctor came out to tell us that my mother had been in a cardiac arrest and they'd started her heart. The following day at noon, he told us she'd gone into cardiac arrest again and she was still alive, but barely. So, with that said, it's hard for me to go back and because I easily could go back and those memories that are still there, so real. And it's very difficult for a girl, for a daughter at that age, losing their mother. We were planning a quinceañera. I'm Hispanic, so we were planning all these wonderful things. They never came to pass. Instead, we were ending up planning a funeral. If you've lost a loved one, you definitely understand where I'm coming from. You understand that it is very difficult. You question yourself. I questioned my faith. I questioned the Lord. I wanted to understand why. I wanted answers. It was not good enough. This beautiful lady was about to leave us. This lady that had this beautiful heart, this beautiful soul, and would always talk to us about the Lord. I realized that I had a choice to make. If I was going to push towards the Lord, what she had taught me, or if I was going to be upset at God, if I was going to be rebellious, and then I knew that my choice was going to make an important impact on my future. And it depended on me and try to go back and recollect all the memories, all my mother's advice. And I realized that I needed to follow that lead. Of course, it was not overnight that this happened. I still went through so many other adversities, but eventually I recognized that I needed to make a decision. I needed to decide what either I was going to come to Christ, that was actually what she had taught me, or that I was going to push away and be upset because of her loss, because he didn't listen or he didn't do something. Uh, so she would live, so she would stay here with us. But instead, I said, I've gone through so many things and adversities. I need to realize that I might never understand why. I wanted answers, but at the same time, I said, only God knows why. It's up to him why he did it. Maybe someday when I see the Lord, I could ask him. And I know he will understand that it's not because it's a rebellious heart. It's still that little girl that I just mentioned previously that's still hurting and mourning, wanting to understand why her. When I've seen other people and we've been around people that don't have a heart for each other, that tend to hurt other people. So I needed to comprehend at the time. And still, there's times that I think about that. Why did this ever happen? But then I always go back into what she taught me, the love for Christ, and that it's not up to me to know the reasons why right now, but it is up to me to find healing. It is up to me to give it to the Lord. And in the right time, He will tell me. I believe that He will because He's a good Father that understands that this is very difficult. And who could better understand than Him that He actually gave His only Son for us to pay that price that He didn't have to pay. So, and He actually had a friend that was Lazarus. So, with that said, he understands the pain. He was on earth. He knows what we feel. He understands. But if I'm going to stay in a negative place, I might have never made it here. I might have, done some harm to myself, or who knows. But I'm so grateful that my mother taught me the love of Christ at a very young age, that it's only through Christ that we will be well. So I really hope that wherever your walking is with Christ or wherever you're at today, to give him an opportunity to come to a place when you're allowing him to come and help you, to restore you. If you don't know, well, just talk to him like we're talking to our earthly father. Please help me. I need guidance. I need healing so I could have transformation in my life. And that only happens through Christ. So I'm inviting you today to think about that. If you've lost a loved one, and you're still dealing with the mourning, which we always have memories and we still hurt and mourn in our own way, to ask God. It's not about knowing the answer right now, but Lord, in your own timing, in your own way, would you please help me? He wants us to talk to him as we're struggling with this area, or maybe it's another area in your life, because he will help you and he will guide you. But it's up to you to have that dialogue, that communication. And sometimes we think he doesn't answer. No, he does answer. And maybe it will be in his presence someday. But listen, you deserve to be your best version. And think, do you think that that loved one would want you to be hurting constantly and crying? It's very normal for us to cry, but for us to stay there, no, I don't think that they would like that. I think that they want you to find healing. And the only way to heal from such a tragedy, or maybe it's another tragedy that you've gone, maybe you've lost your father, maybe you've lost a son, a daughter, maybe you've lost your best friend. I don't know. But if you come back and you ask God for guidance and help in this area, I know that you will find the light. But you have to press on. You have to do the hard work. Maybe you need to sit down with a specialist, a therapist, and there's nothing wrong with you to go and talk about that. Instead, you're wanting to find healing. You're wanting answers. You're wanting guidance. You're wanting someone to hear you out. And that is wonderful. Continue pressing on and believing, because God has a purpose over your life. You have to want this change. You have to want to come out of that dark place. It's okay if you've been there, but it's not okay to stay there. And it's not okay to stay quiet, because you're the only one that could speak up and make the change. I wish I could help you, but honestly, we all have a different journey. It might be a little similar, but we all are facing different circumstances. So, with that said, I will continue pressing on, sharing more of my own journey, my own suffering, my own pain. Of course, it was painful to lose a mother at such a difficult age, but knowing that she would not want me to be all the time in pain. Yes, I do cry. I still remember. I have my moments. There's holidays, there's Mother's Day, there's her birthday. But I know that it is well in Christ, and one day we will be together. So you should try to find something positive. And maybe you need some other words, but you know what you need. Seek for help. Don't stay there, and continue pressing on and remembering that the changes are always around the corner. Like I've said many times, you have a wonderful and blessed day. And remember, continue following me here on my podcast called A Legacy of Love in the following episodes, because I always do Spanish and English. So God bless. And if you don't know him, give him an opportunity. I know that he will be more than happy to help you, to listen to your heart as you continue pressing on and mourning whatever loss that you've gone through. God loves you, and have a wonderful day. Bye bye.